franchise, it sounds impersonal, but from this show, from this event, from this thing which has been so important in all our lives. And I'm going to bring out one now. She's coming out with someone. Will you please welcome, you know, I think you do, if I say the words first contact, who he's going to be.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So I want you to go nuts for Robert Picardo, but also, let's hear some love for Nichelle Nichols.
Because, frankly, we met on the plane flying over and we fell in love.
Nichelle, I know you love being here, I know you love meeting your fans, and I know that you're looking forward to meeting a few this weekend.
Yes. I definitely am. Most of my, well, not all of them, but there are many. That one, that one.
She's cherry picking her favourites right now. You could win her over if you weren't, yeah, you got lucky. We don't know for sure she was pointing at you anyway. It could have been you.
Tractor lives.
So Nichelle, you're here all weekend as well. It's so lovely to have you back in the UK. And I know you're tired because you only just got
I'm
in.
sorry, you said?
No, don't worry. I said nothing of any importance. But we are just so excited you're here, and we so appreciate you taking the time to come over. Don't we, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, yes.
But make sure you spend some time with Nichelle this weekend. Nichelle and Robert Picardo, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. Everywhere I go, Trektum follows me. So thank you for being here. You're the greatest. I wasn't expecting.
Nichelle Nichols, ladies and gentlemen.
You can depend on me.
Okay. I'm still recovering from that. They said to me beforehand, they said, oh, Nichelle's really tired, just bring her out. And really, literally, she's just going to say hello. A, we couldn't get off the fucking stage. B, to kiss everyone, which is a magnificent result. Please forgive my language. Okay, we've just changed the order a little bit here, so forgive me if I get a bit flaky, but they've asked me to bring out people who we will know from these other voyages. Will you welcome Larry Nemeczek, Andre Barmanis and Ron B. Moore. They're consultants and writers as well. Let's go crazy for the people who really make the show. Without them, we wouldn't have anything. We have nothing. How are you, sir? I'm great to meet you, sir. Thank you, it's a classic. Let me ask you about the science in the show then, because it's attracted, I mean, maybe it's even influenced a generation of scientists. There's a lot of people I know, older guys, people like Phil Platt, people like that, who are into science because of their love of Star Trek. Scientifically, what's your proudest achievement, or what do you think was Gene Roddenberry's greatest achievement in the science side of the show?
Well, personally, I think the fact that he went to such great lengths to create a believable starship, something that was logically organized. He spoke to all sorts of scientists and engineers from the RAND Corporation, JPL, and you know, just an astonishing array of people. And Paramount got a little impatient with him. They're just like, you know, put together, you know, a bridge set and then some lights and you're done.
Yeah.
And Gene said, no, this has to be thought out, because in order for the audience to willingly suspend their disbelief, as we like to say in the world of TV and film, they have to believe that this thing, this starship, could be someday possible. And I think that Gene's greatest accomplishment was making something so believable that it inspired, as you said, generations of new scientists and engineers. It's a great anecdote Gene told once about how after the show premiere, 2 or 3 weeks into the run, he got some letters. And one of the things that Gene put a lot of thought into was the sick bed. He thought, here in the present day, it's really pretty primitive, You want somebody's temperature, you stick a thermometer in their mouth or elsewhere. Blood pressure, you put a cuff on them, pulse. It's just all very primitive, sewing people up. Well, Gene said, they're going to have scanning technology, radar, computers. We'll make this thing called the bio. A few weeks after the show premiered, he got letters from like Westinghouse and GE and Siemens saying, how did you know we were working on this stuff? I didn't. Just asked myself logical questions and extrapolated into the future.
It's incredible. And you guys are more involved in the writing side.
Who gave you a job? All those years ago?
You're visual effects, and you're doing one of the story. You were in charge of story.
I've done all kinds of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just gave me names on the card, so I wasn't quite sure who was not. I do apologise. Let me ask you, we were talking about Gene, and of course without Gene there wouldn't be the show. It's his spirit that informs both the science of the show, but also that vision of the future, that hopeful vision. What do you think he would be proudest of in your respective fields, your contributions to the show? Because obviously the visual effects that we take for granted today couldn't be achieved way back when.
When we started Next Generation, we were really pushing the envelope. Paramount let us do the effects electronically using videotape, and that was really not done up to that point. It was all done on optical printers and stuff, which was my background at the time. And I think we really pushed the envelope. Back to the other question of science, sometimes it would get to us and it hadn't been thought out too much. My favorite story scientifically would be reading the script that they had the ship looking at a star that was about to supernova, warping 2 light years away, and gonna look at it. And where I'm, that really doesn't work. We need to think that out a little bit. Yeah, you can't wait there for 2 years. The answer I would get most often from some of the producers was, Ron, it's not Nova. And that it wasn't. But we tried. All of us that worked, we tried to keep it as accurate as we could.
No, I hadn't thought of this until you just said this. You said your field. The idea that Gene cooperated with a guy named Stephen Whitfield Poe, who wrote the original classic, The Making of Star Trek, the little paperback, and it was not only a Bible on how they made the show, it was really a lot of people's first introduction to how television was made. And that book inspired so many people to go into television and to understand the mystery of how it was done. I mean, now we have so much media, we're drowning in media, and everyone's so media savvy. But in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was the only book about Star Trek. But it was also this wonderful guide about how television was made. And for all the people that have come since that have done behind the scenes, working, production-oriented guidebooks, it was a great, I don't know if he intended to be a look ahead, but the deal that he did with him and A&T, where they swapped and got the shuttlecraft miniature for the plastic model kit. I mean, some of those kinds of things. Star Trek invented so much of pop culture and fandom and conventions. Those kinds of insights. I mean, I didn't think about it. I just flashed on it. And that was a remarkable thing. And today, thankfully, we have this whole library of Star Trek being not only friendly to itself, but to realizing that people 10 and 20 and 30 years from now are going to want this.
What a great thing though, to jump on board. I don't know how many kids we have or young people here, but to join. I grew up with Star Trek. It was my favourite show as a kid. It was the biggest show in my life. And of course I was lucky enough to see it growing change. The kids joining now, maybe with the new movies, they have got this rich experience to go back through and this kind of wealth of, other movies and TV and animated series. What an incredible legacy.
Oh yeah, well that's why I'm glad that we have so many people who can hopefully give some context, because we are having so many new fans coming in, and they were not reweighted every week, whether it was every week in the 60s or the 80s or the 90s or the aughts. It's just a big wall of DVDs to them.
The aughts, no one calls it the aughts. I don't know what you're thinking there. But I hope you guys know, we're doing here because everyone's here because they love the show, and obviously we go crazy when the stars come out, but I like to think that this is a very intelligent, the thin edge, the thin intelligent wedge of fandom, who also love the people who write the show, who produce the show, who are involved in making it look as spectacular as it is, and of course who make sure that the science is consistent. So let's hear it for everyone else who works on the show. not sure who they are, so please bear with me. If I get the name, if I pronounce his name wrong, because his name sounds weird.
Yeah, get on.
The past tense or something? I don't know if I should read this out. If it's the right name, I'm going to do it anyway. So William Shatner? William Shatner, ladies and gentlemen! There he is! That's him! He's here! He's real! He lives! He walks among us! He's looking right at me. Look at him! He's looking at you! It's Bill Shatner!
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. So glad to be here. Where are we?
It was the force of your charisma that knocked me off my feet, Bill. How great to have you here. I grew up with you as the captain. You are always my captain, I'm afraid, whether you like it or not. You love these things, don't you?
Yes. I told you monosyllabic answers.
Okay, what I want to ask you is the
Yes.
question, and you've already spoken on this a little bit.
A little.
You know the question that I ask. I want to see if you can elaborate. You're in the United Kingdom, you know that.
Yes.
You're in London.
And the United Kingdom by
Still
hair's breadth.
just by a hair's breadth. Don't bring that up again. We just got over it.
Yeah.
Right nearby, a lesser science fiction franchise is being rebooted. A thing you might have heard of, Star Wars, right?
Yes.
Now, the guy in charge of that is also involved a little bit in our favourite show. And he's in this part of the country, and you're in this part of the country. And I know there's been some talk that you might well possibly be involved in the third film.
No idea what he's talking about.
And have you maybe shared you haven't had a...
No, not a thing.
Not even
what's going on.
a tiny...
A little tiny,
weedy polka dot.
Little polka dot.
Bikini. No, but Bill,
yeah,
no,
I understand that. No, I really do.
Just for the love
I understand
of
your
everything that's holy, tell us about, are you in the movie?
I'm bound.
I can help you out with that.
You have a license. No, I mean, my lips are sealed. Can you help me with that? No.
Could you wink?
No, I can't wink because it becomes a twitch. Look, so there's nothing I can do. I received a communication from J.J. Abrams in which he said, "Are you interested?" I said, "I'm interested." He said, "Don't tell anybody." I said, "I won't tell anybody." And the next day, it was all over Twitter. And then I said, and then he writes me, he emails me, "Thanks a lot for keeping your mouth shut." And I said, "The director of the movie." He said, "Well, we'll fire the director." No. He didn't say that. But I mean, it's just got out there that all they're curious about.
Well, we need to know.
See, here's the problem.
It's no problem, just tell us.
Here's the problem. The problem is, how would they bring me into... Wait, let me further elucidate.
Where do you see the problems lying?
No, here's the problem. I said to Leonard Nimoy when he was in the first movie.
Can we just enjoy that moment? Speaking of Leonard Nimoy, about the third movie, okay? This is what's...
I said to Leonard Nimoy when he was in the first movie, I said, "You know you're old when you go back in time and you're still old." Okay? That's the problem.
That is, I can see why that's a problem.
I mean, what are you going to do with Captain Kirk 50 years later? I mean,
They can do CGI.
but then why have me? Let me tell you an experience. I did a voiceover over the hedge. So Bruce Willis and me and various other American actors who did the voices of this animated movie are at the Cannes Film Festival. We're walking up the red carpeted steps. All the actors are walking up. We're so proud we're at Cannes in the film. There's 4 or 5 other actors walking up the steps at the same time. I turned to Bruce, I said, "Who are they?" He said, "Those are the French actors who did the voices in French." Well, what are we doing here? So that's what I mean.
I don't understand what that has to do with anything.
CGI.
CGI. I thought maybe maybe you'd go back in time and Kirk was Mcfaddan, he was French. I thought that's
a question, I'm trying to answer it.
It's hard for me to remember things because I'm standing opposite William Shatner, and that's never happened to you. But when it happens to me, it's a big thing. You've never had to, I almost said endure, experience.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to being here all weekend and seeing you folks. I hope you'll visit with me and have a good evening. Have a good time tomorrow.
The one, the only, William Shatner, ladies and gentlemen. William Shatner. There were moments when he was talking and he said a word and I thought he was going to go into one of those songs from the album we did with Ben Folds. I was just so hoping it would happen. All right, let's bring out some of the brilliant women who have made the show so rich, so complex, playing both good people and bad. I know they're already telling me here that we're going to have to start watching through it, but I'll try and extend it as long as possible. Go crazy for Alice Krige, Hana, Hatae, and Suzie Plakson. See you again. Well, let's start with Hana, because in my head, and like so many other people's head, you're still like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of still look like I'm 5 or 6. I haven't grown too much.
What memories do you have? Because you were a kid then, what memories do you have of filming the show?
You know, I remember getting out of school, getting to leave, which was absolutely awesome, because who wants to be at school when you're a kid, you know? Everyone treated me like a little princess. I was super lucky with that. I remember... I mean, most of the later days of filming, the very beginning I don't remember too much because I was so young.
So young, yeah.
It started when I was 4. But, you know, it was amazing.
Wow, it's incredible. And it must be something which I'm sure people come up and you must get recognised with even today, don't you?
Slightly. I mean, I guess I haven't grown too much, but I look a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, you could get a drink now. I'm not saying that you're frozen in time.
I can get a drink, but I still get carded every single time, and I probably will for a very long time.
Me too. My favourite Borg queen. That's a great part to have, isn't it?
She was wonderful.
Yeah.
Really, really wonderful.
What are your memories of filming? What are the standout moments for you?
Of her, getting sewn into the suit and having to pee. Keeping the unit waiting for 45 minutes while I went to the bathroom.
So did they have to unsew you and sew you back in?
And then we couldn't fit me into the costume because my hands and feet had swollen. So it was the most expensive bathroom trip in the history of film.
That's quite a memory, and we thank you for sharing that with us. I will never look at that character. That's probably where a lot of that cold fury comes from. You were just busting the gut. The hive toilet, that's what you needed. That's a horrible for wonder. It's like being at a festival at Glastonbury, that's a hive toilet. Suzie?
Yes?
Of course, Kayla.
Kayla, poor dear Kayla, yes.
Now, I don't know how much you can say about this. I am privy to a little bit about what's going on this weekend, but there is something quite special that you're involved in, a kind of, I don't want to say too much, a sort of performance sort of thing.
It's sort of a makeup demo that has a little surprise in the midst of it.
So you can't.
And that's all.
So you can't say any more.
Can't say.
But make sure you don't miss it.
That would be a good thing to say.
And is it happening both days?
It's happening both days. It's happening Saturday in the afternoon in the teens sometime, and Sunday in the teens sometime.
Make sure you don't miss it because it's more than you might expect. And it doesn't involve, even though there's a transformational sort, it doesn't involve that incredible red hair disappearing, I hope.
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
Well, no, not permanently anyway.
If ever they make a movie about Rebecca Brooks, you know you are going to get so many calls.
That'd be grand.
And we need an actress as good as you to pull that off, I think, because although she was a pretty good actress, I suspect.
I think so.
Okay. Great to have you here, ladies and gentlemen, once again, here all weekend, but don't miss the makeup thing. It's going to be super special. Thank you all so much. Let's give it a
Thank you.